They did something just because they thought that I might think that they were wrong. And I do. I think if you are fucking streaming that show, you're fencing stolen goods. They stole that from me.
So, Dave, how you doing, Dave?
What's up, Dave?
Hey, Dave, you think it's too early to make jokes about Diddy?
You know, the bottom line is no matter what happens to you, you gotta keep going.
You gotta keep going.
And bitterness is quite cumbersome. I'm telling you something that you need to know. I'm trying to explain to you what you're seeing. You don't understand what you're seeing. I am publicly flogging a network.
If you've ever wondered just how fragile Trump's public persona really is, this is the moment that cracked it wide open. Dave Chappelle didn't just tell a joke. He struck a nerve so deep, even Trump couldn't laugh it off. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. What makes a joke so powerful that even someone as notoriously unshakable as Trump can't shrug it off? For years, comedians have thrown punchlines at him, and he's brushed them aside like crumbs off his suit. It's like mockery was baked into the Trump brand. He'd smirk, call it fake news, and keep it moving. Most political jokes rely on pointing out his policies or exaggerating his larger-than-life personality. But those jokes almost bounce off, right? Trump's confidence, or perhaps that enormous ego, seems to thrive on being made fun of. He can laugh along when the joke feels distant, impersonal, or like just another roast of a public figure.
I mean, it's a MAGA hat, whatever, man. The thing that's scary about this presidency is after it. Trump's a wild guy. He's a wild guy. A lot of countries pitched in. Canada sent planes that helped us out, and Mexico sent firefighters. And Trump was like, make sure they leave when they're finished. When he's running for president, he said this at a debate. He said the Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, were eating people's dogs and cats. That really upset me because I live in Ohio. In fact, what's up, Ohio?
That's where Chappelle saw an opening. He didn't come at Trump with the same tired formula. Instead of going after politics or his wild tweets, Chappelle aimed directly at something personal, his marriage. And not in an over-the-top dramatic way either. Chappelle's humor is like a scalpel, precise, cutting, and delivered with just the right pressure. His joke wasn't loud or aggressive. It didn't call Trump a name or throw out exaggerated insults. What got everyone was the simplicity. The calm, almost casual delivery had the crowd leaning in, hanging on every word. It was as if Chappelle was letting them in on a secret just as the punchline landed. And wow, did it hit. Picture it, an audience that started with a chuckle and grew into roaring laughter. There were audible gasps when it dawned on people. He said what everyone whispers but rarely hears out loud. Phones started popping up, the crowd scrambling to record the moment. It became instantly clear this was more than just a comedy set. Chappelle had touched on something undeniably real, and everyone in that room could feel it. Here's the thing about humor. It works best when it reveals truths. From a pure comedy standpoint, the joke was textbook brilliance. Experts in humor theory say that the most impactful jokes often expose hidden realities, especially when they challenge the narrative someone's been carefully crafting. Think about it. How much effort has Trump put into selling this image of himself as a family man? We're talking about a guy whose every move screams brand management. From the golden escalator to MAGA hats to his picturesque family photos, he's built his public identity as larger than life, untouchable, and perfectly packaged. Taking a jab at Melania of all things was like poking a hole in that balloon. And Chappelle knew it. This wasn't a random throwaway line to get a cheap laugh. He went for the aspect of Trump's image that feels both staged and fragile, his relationship with Melania. He took what the public subtly suspects and delivered it with the clarity of someone reading from a headline most of us wouldn't dare to write. He didn't have to exaggerate or go on a dramatic rant. Just a few well-timed lines delivered with that signature smirk, and suddenly the room was alive. It was clean, efficient, and absolutely brutal in its honesty. To fully understand why this landed so hard, you've got to think about what wasn't said. Political humor tends to focus on policy mistakes, scandals, or broad personality traits. With Trump, it's usually the big stuff.
20,000 Haitian immigrants were moved there by our government legally, and they pay market value for their rents, And they saved a lot of companies because they did jobs that the whites weren't doing. I live one town over from Springfield. Now, those of you who are from Ohio, I hope you know that's not what's happening in Springfield at all. What happened in Springfield is a lot of jobs went away. It's not that the whites couldn't do these jobs, but they were busy, doing other things. Heroin, sleeping on the streets, you know what it is.
His hair, his tweets, his ridiculous need to put his name on everything. But attacking someone's marriage, that's next level. It digs at vulnerability, poking at something he wouldn't dare talk about. The safe spaces Trump has always relied on for his reputation, his wealth, his power, and yes, his marital status make him seem unflappable. By bringing up Melania, Chappelle wasn't just echoing gossip, he turned a private suspicion into a public moment. And man, the reaction was stunning. The laughter in the room had an unspoken edge to it, almost like relief. Finally, somebody said it. The gasps mixed with the, "Oh no, he didn't" expression showed how deeply this joke struck. The crowd wasn't just entertained, they felt like participants in a giant cultural mic drop. Comedy often acts as permission to acknowledge what people know but aren't ready to confront. That's what Chappelle accomplished in that brief moment. Fake news is trying to spread lies. Sad. If there had been more room in the tweet box, you can bet he'd have thrown in detailed evidence like a photo of them holding hands at an awkward angle. It didn't stop there. Trump doubled down, posting again about how he and Melania have an incredible relationship and even calling out liberal comedians for targeting families. The tone wasn't just defensive, it was flailing. Chappelle is trying to ruin marriages. Do your job, fake news. It was almost like watching someone argue with a mirror in real time. Each post piled onto the last, spiraling further out of control. By the end of it, you had to wonder if he was trying to convince the audience or himself. And this is where it gets really interesting. Experts in psychology have a term for this kind of reaction: narcissistic injury. According to clinical psychologist Dr. Ramani Dervasula, public humiliation is kryptonite for narcissists. When their carefully constructed image takes a hit, especially over something personal, it's unbearable. The joke didn't mock one of Trump's big, blustery persona traits, like his deal-making or his speeches. It poked at something private, something he had fought to keep polished and untouchable: the marriage. The airing of a grievance like that in front of millions of people watching a stand-up special hit right where it hurt. Here's the irony. In trying so hard to deny it, he accidentally confirmed it. The posts about his happy marriage only fueled the fire. If you're ranting to the internet for hours about your wife loving you, people aren't walking away convinced. They're walking away wondering, wait, so does she? This is where Chappelle's joke proved brilliant. It didn't just live in that moment of laughter during his set, it stayed alive in Trump's panicked reaction. The more Trump barked about his great relationship, the more obvious it became that Chappelle had struck a chord. And the absurdity of it all, that's what makes it funny. Imagine the former president of the United States spending an entire Saturday with his phone, scrolling through mentions, shouting semi-coherent defenses of his personal life while sitting in a gold-plated chair. It's like a satire skit that wrote itself. We've seen him respond to critics before, but those moments were controlled. A few quick insults, maybe some witty, or at least attempted witty wordplay, and that would be it. But this time, it was all caps, excessive punctuation, and wildly veering comments about how Melania has never been happier. He sounded less like a world leader and more like someone fighting with their ex on Facebook at 2 a.m. What makes this even funnier is that Chappelle never told us anything new or groundbreaking. The rumors about Trump and Melania's strained relationship have been swirling for years. They've been the silent side character in the Trump drama, lingering in the background and whispered about behind closed doors. But by saying what everyone had been tiptoeing around and doing it with perfect comedic timing, Chappelle brought those whispers into the open. Trump didn't just notice, he unraveled. So what does this all boil down to? The joke didn't just hit Trump where it hurt. It cracked open the mask he wears so carefully, and instead of patching it back together, he made the crack even wider with every explosive post. His meltdown wasn't just funny, it was proof that the power of comedy can make even the most untouchable image falter. And the kicker? This was about way more than just his marriage. Chappelle didn't just make a joke, he pulled back the curtain on Trump's entire public persona. But that's a story for the next part. What happens when one perfectly timed joke tears away at the entire foundation of someone's carefully crafted public image? That's exactly what Dave Chappelle managed to do with just a few words aimed at Donald Trump. For years, Trump has constructed and fiercely protected a myth around himself. The billionaire dealmaker, the self-made success story, the powerhouse leader, and, crucially, the devoted family man with a model-perfect wife. The whole image feels like it's been put through a Hollywood filter, polished, edited, and ready for the spotlight. But like most myths, if you look too closely, the cracks start to show, and Chappelle didn't just look, he pointed right at those cracks and made the entire world laugh. Let's start with the marriage. The Trumps have been presented as picture perfect for years, an American royal couple with their golden veneers and carefully posed photos. But behind closed doors, well, that's where the corporate arrangement rumors come in. According to insider accounts, including reports from former Trump aides, those public smiles don't exactly carry over to private life. We're talking about separate bedrooms, minimal interaction, and more of a business partnership vibe than a loving marriage. In an ordinary relationship, okay, fine. People have their quirks, but when your brand is built on being a family man with an adoring spouse, that's a problem. Chappelle's joke took all of that whispered speculation and dragged it into the light, turning it into something everyone could laugh at and maybe think about a little harder. It didn't help that Trump has always been obsessed with appearances. Ask Anthony Scaramucci, who despite his brief tenure as White House communications director, managed to spill some juicy tea about Trump's fixation on how he looks. Scaramucci once revealed that Trump uses girdles, shoe lifts, and, of course, his signature orange makeup. That's not just vanity, it's a full-scale mission to keep the illusion alive. Scaramucci even said Trump's whole identity is wrapped up in how people see him. Now, bring in the concept of a trophy wife. Melania isn't just a partner in his life, she's proof, at least in his mind, that he's successful. For Trump, it's not just about love or companionship, it's about status and public validation. If Melania starts looking like she's not on board with the fairy tale, it undermines the entire Trump mythology. This is what made Chappelle's joke so dangerous for Trump. It wasn't just poking fun at the couple for the sake of a laugh. Chappelle hit at the core of what Trump projects to the world, that he's untouchable, admired, and always in control. By turning the spotlight on Melania, Chappelle basically said, hey, you know this thing you think is flawless? Let's talk about how it might not be. The simplicity of the joke made it work. He didn't need an elaborate setup or wild exaggerations. It was a precision shot, the kind comedians are experts at delivering. And the beauty of comedy is that it stays with people. They'll replay it, share it, and talk about it. Each time they do, the cracks in Trump's image grow a little wider. Trump's obsession with maintaining this facade goes deeper than just his marriage, though. The psychology behind it is fascinating. Experts like Dr. Ramani Dervasula explain that narcissists rely heavily on external validation. Their self-worth is tied directly to how others see them. Public criticism doesn't just sting, it's a personal assault on their sense of identity. That's why Chappelle's joke about Melania hit so hard. It wasn't just any critique, it was one that undermined a pillar of Trump's persona. And when that pillar wobbles, the whole tower starts looking unstable. If you think about it, the Trump myth is kind of like a house of cards. Every piece is designed to hold up the others, but none of it is all that sturdy. The businessman image props up the leader image, which props up the strong family man image, which ties back to his wealth and success. It's all connected, and when one part falls, the rest feels shaky. Chappelle's joke wasn't about Melania as a person, it was about what she represents in Trump's larger narrative. By calling out a part of his life he's been trying to script for years, Chappelle didn't just make a joke, he broke a part of the spell. And that's where things get funny, or depending on your perspective, a little sad. Trump's whole presentation, from the spray tan to the love of staging everything like a reality show, screams deeply fragile. You've got a man fighting to hold together this image of perfection with duct tape and hairspray. Chappelle's joke was like walking in, seeing all that effort, and deciding to pull one tiny thread. A joke about Melania wasn't just about Melania. It was about what she, standing perfectly poised beside Trump, was supposed to symbolize. And when that symbol is questioned, suddenly the whole picture stops feeling as perfect as it was meant to. Here's the payoff. Chappelle didn't just tell a joke for laughs. He exposed something much bigger. He reminded everyone that behind the self-made myth is a man who cares deeply, too deeply, about what people think of him. And for someone who tries so hard to look untouchable, that's a level of vulnerability Trump would rather hide. So what does it say when a single joke can unravel so much? Well, maybe the image being sold to us was never as solid as we were told. Dave Chappelle's joke wasn't just a quick punchline, it became a cultural moment that peeled back the shiny exterior of Trump's carefully crafted myth. The idea that Trump's marriage, often staged as perfect, might be more business deal than love story hit a nerve so raw it sparked an uncharacteristic meltdown. Chappelle didn't just crack a joke, he used humor to slice through layers of image management in seconds. And it worked. If a single laugh can reveal that much truth, what other myths are just waiting to unravel? Comedy reminds us that sometimes the easiest way to the truth is laughter.